want to address, I know there's some challenges. I've talked with some of you that have some challenges, and I want to just talk about the challenges that a few of you have communicated to me, and I really appreciate that. When a woman faces an unwanted pregnancy or faces the challenge of becoming pregnant, she didn't plan for it. I know as a woman there's a lot of fear, and there's a lot of anxiety, and there's confusion, uncertainty about the future. A lot of young women deal with shame. And the biggest question that's posed that she has to answer is, what am I going to do? And even though I know that there are horrible crimes that are committed with rape and incest, I really can't think of anything that's worse than that, because we do live in a fallen world. The child should not be killed and terminated because of the crime of the father.
First amendment is a set of amendments by Representative James, set number 3332.
And this amendment is for those women who unfortunately have been raped or incest. And that's a decision, just like Representative Hodges and her family made, and just like the governor, his wife made. That's a family decision. That's not a decision for us. We are not that important to make that decision for a woman who's been raped. But this is common sense. We cannot force a woman to live with that trauma. I'm not man enough to do that. And members, we hear all these stories. I know people that have been raped. I know someone who's been raped. And I know the trauma that she lives with every single day. Loud music. Men that look like the man that raped her. I'm not man enough to force a woman who has been raped to live with it and look at that every single day for 9 months. I'm not man enough to do it. And members, I think that this is a very sensible and humane amendment to this bill, and I ask that you support it.
Members, I rise in opposition to this amendment. We don't punish children in this country for the sins of their fathers. The manner in which a baby is conceived is not an indictment of that child that should warrant a death sentence for that child. And that's as simple as I can put it. Look, if you want to bring legislation allowing the mother, the victim of rape, to choose to execute the rapist, I'm on board. I think that's a good amendment. That's a good bill. But this is not. Because in this situation, what you're doing is you're talking about a child. This is a child. The manner in which the child was conceived does not affect that child. That child is capable of hopes and dreams, and that child has a future right up until that moment. And if we can prevent that, I think we should. And we have before us a bill that will allow us to prevent that. And look, I am not standing up here trying to condone rape or incest. Again, if we could pass a bill that would allow us to let the mother choose, if you want choice, let her choose to execute the rapist. That's fine. I'm for that. I'm not for this bill, and I would ask you please join me in opposing this bill, this amendment rather. Thank you.
I don't know how we could sit here and think that we could make judgment on someone who has been violently raped or incest, and not only require that they have that baby, but require that they raise that baby, that they look in the face of the baby that is a part of the person who violated them. You know, it's amazing that we come to this well and we say that we'll go ahead and we'll execute the person that did the rape. That means that we must not be pro-life all the way, from the womb to the tomb. Because if you want to save a life, then what's the point here if you can take another life later? It should be unconscionable for us to sit here and dictate what happens with a woman's body. How many times have you been pregnant or raped? I think we need to sit back and take a hard look at what we're doing and what we're trying to legislate. I'm standing for the women in Louisiana who have been raped. those that may not have a voice here today. I'm standing for them because they should have a voice and they should make the decision, not us.
Thank you, Mr. Bigger. Members, I rise in opposition to this amendment with all due respect to my colleague and the motivations behind this amendment, and also, the outcome of this, the vote on this amendment. I respect that this is as about a touchy subject as you can get. And we all have different beliefs on surrounding this, and I respect those beliefs. Some of these beliefs are steeped in our faith and what we believe to be life. I think we all know someone who's close to us that we love who's been a victim of these types of traumas. That said, for me personally, it's about life.
I rise in opposition to the amendment also. I kind of like the ideas that Representative Seabaugh was sharing. Might be topics for a bill in the future. I wanted to say that I don't mean to diminish anything that a woman who's experienced rape has been through. It's a horrible, violent crime. It's a trauma. I think what some people forget, though, is that abortion is also a trauma. It takes a lot more than 9 months to recover from rape. It takes a lifetime. It takes a lot more than 9 months to recover after an abortion. It also takes a lifetime. I counsel the mothers to remember that although this is nothing you wanted, it has happened, and that baby that you're carrying gets half of its DNA from you. So see that baby as a victim along with you, and at least give birth to that baby if you're able to carry it to term, and let someone else raise it if you believe that you might mistreat it somehow, or you might begrudge the baby for the sins of the father, because there are so many people who cannot have a baby of their own. I want you to remember that having an abortion doesn't mean that you are no longer a mother. It means that now you're the mother of a deceased baby. That's why it takes a lifetime to recover, if you ever do.
I was actually going to save these comments for my own amendment, but I think it really is appropriate to say what I have here. I'm continually hearing conversations about a woman who's been raped, a woman who has been a victim of incest. Many of you sitting in this room have a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 12-year-old. Those individuals have been victims of rape and incest and have had pregnancies. And yet you choose to say to a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 12-year-old that they are supposed to have a baby by a relative that they live with every single day. So you sit here in judgment of women, you say. Your conversation has all been on women, but what about children? What about the children who suffer the same kinds of things that you just heard about? How do you protect them? You're not protecting them. You're not allowing those families to make decisions for a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, or a 12-year-old. Folks, you can't continue to dismiss the fact that without the exception in this bill, what you're saying to our babies, that they are supposed to have a baby and continue to have a baby if this is not put on this bill. How dare you tell a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, an 11-year-old, or 12-year-old that they're supposed to carry a baby for an uncle, a father, a nephew, or someone in their family that's taking advantage of them? How dare you?
The word that I keep hearing from everybody is, it starts with a C and ends with an E. Choice. And when I stood here, I told you this rape and incest, Ted James does not believe that it is a decision for the legislature. If something happens to my child, to your child, that's a decision for Ted, Veronica, and Harper. That's a family conversation. I'm not questioning your faith. I'm not judging you. My comments are mine. I don't believe, and I couldn't, in good conscience, not attempt to put this amendment on this bill. I don't think that a decision for a woman who's been raped or who has been a victim of rape and incest is a decision for us. I think that's a family decision, and I ask that you support this amendment.
Representative James has offered an amendment to which Representative Seabaugh has objected. When the clerk opens the machines, all those in favor of the amendment vote yes. All those opposed vote no. The clerk will open the machine. 35 yeas, 67 nays, and the amendment fails to be adopted.
While we have tremendous empathy for women of whatever age, especially for children that have been the victims of rape or incest, and it is a heinous crime, as I said earlier, but if anyone should be put to death, it should be the perpetrator of the crime, not the child, not the baby. That abortion, and I know this for a fact, abortion compounds the trauma of rape and incest. I know people, having been a pastor for 35 years, I know people who have went through this, both. An abortion does not take away the trauma of that. It keeps it going because not only have they been traumatized once, they've been traumatized twice. So I object to the amendment because I believe it basically just, it's a bad amendment. So I ask you to oppose the amendment.
When a 9, 10, 12-year-old is pregnant, they don't find out in 10 weeks. They walk around with big sweatshirts on, trying to hide it from their parents if it was rape or incest. So you don't know until they're 5 or 6 months pregnant when you see that bump that they might have been raped, and then you start to question them. It's too late to have an abortion. Please, can legislate morality, let the families make their decision and not us. It's not for us to do. As Representative James has said, we need to let the family get together and take care of their business.
Are you through voting? Clerk will close the machine. 24 yeas, 76 nays. The amendment fails to be adopted.
I come to you with this amendment today as a very serious pro-life advocate. Life is so precious, and it's so precious to me. And I look at my own 2 children, and I thank God every day for them. There was a handout that came to your desks earlier that stated that it would be closer to 10 weeks when a heartbeat would be detectable. But on a Google search, it looks more like 6. I mean, everywhere I look, in every site I can find, I think by 10 weeks it should certainly be there, but you very viably could have one as early as 6. Now at 6 weeks pregnant, you've been pregnant for 4 weeks. You might have known for 1 or 2 weeks that you're pregnant. Might. But I can't pretend that I can foresee every gruesome possibility that could happen to somebody. I just can't. And as much as I honor and I just truly believe in what I do here as a pro-life legislator, I'm 100% pro-life. I've always been 100% pro-life. But I don't feel equipped to make every victim's decision. I don't. I want to, because I know that the smartest thing right now, I know what it is. So it pains me, and I've been sitting here in a lot of pain because I want very badly to be able to just roll with this one, but I can't do it because I can't know everybody's situation and their pain. I can't know it. I also want to note, and I'm very nervous about this. I'm sorry, I'm a little shaky, but you know, I'm looking at tweets from our president. And our president said that he is strongly pro-life with 3 exceptions: rape, incest, and protecting the life of the mother. The same position taken by Ronald Reagan. So I'm just asking you to give the victim here a few weeks. I mean, that's it. And potentially they wouldn't see a heartbeat until that time anyway. So I gotta say, I'm nervous, I'm shaking up here about this, because I love the Louisiana Family Forum. I've got a great relationship with them. Louisiana Right for Life, Right to Life. My colleagues, Representative Hodges and Senator Milkovich, and I just ask you to give victims enough time to decide.
I rise in objection to the amendment for the reason stated before, that this handout that I passed out, I want you to look at the bottom. It's the Louisiana Department of Health and Hospitals. Between week 8 and week 10, that you can detect a heartbeat. And so that's what this bill does. It is the heartbeat bill.
And everybody who's for this bill, I get it. I want to be 100% here. And I feel like I can support the bill if a victim just has that amount of time. If it's really 10 weeks, I just find a few too many references that only give people a week or two to come to terms with this. It could be a horrifying time in these people's lives.
34 yeas, 67 nays. The amendment fails to pass.